Hello and welcome to the Street Crime UK YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Today we look at two men who were convicted at the Old Bailey of shooting an innocent teenage boy in his bed with a Mac 10 spray and spray submachine gun. The execution ended 48 hours of bloody violence and killings in Peckham as gangsters fell out over money. Michael Desunmu, 15, was the victim of mistaken identity as the gunman had sought revenge on his brother Hakeem, a drug dealer allied with a gang boss who had murdered a friend of the killers. The two factions had fallen out over the proceeds of a serious cash-in-transit robberies at shops and banks across London. Mohammed Sannoh, 19, known as Striker, and Abdi Omar Noor, 22, thought they had been bumped off a fair share of cash. In the early hours, two masked men burst into the brothers' home in Diamond Street, Peckham, stormed upstairs and sprayed Hakeem's bedroom with gunfire. Hakeem was away, but Michael, a church-going schoolboy who had no gang involvement, was asleep under his duvet and was killed almost instantly. Mr. Noor, a Somalian from Camberwell, and Mr. Sannoh, originally from Sierra Leone and living in Peckham, were found guilty of murder after the jury deliberated for more than 41 hours. They will be sentenced to life when the victims' parents, Rasak and Shakira, will describe the impact of the murder on their lives. Mr. Desunmu said he had punched the air on the guilty verdicts, adding that he hated the killers because they had done something very callous. During the month-long trial, the jury heard that on the night of the murder, Michael and his oldest sister, Shakira, were on their own at home. Their mother was in Nigeria visiting relatives and their father had been taken to hospital after a fall. Hakeem, who was since renounced crime, had been at a family home for several days. Jonathan Law QC prosecuting said Shakira was awoken by the sound of gunfire. Within seconds, she heard someone trying to open her locked door and the door was forced open. She saw a male wearing a green army jacket with a scarf covering his face below the eyes. Shakira hid under her duvet. She did not move until she heard Michael gasping for breath. She went into his room. There was blood coming from his back and bullet holes in the wall. She quickly dialed 999. A few hours later, Mr. Noor was laughing at a TV news report of the murder after turning up drunk at the Ipswich home of a female witness. He laughed when she said the killers must be sick and said, "My boy did the job." The boy was in the bedroom upstairs sleeping, but we didn't want the boy, we wanted the brother. My boy was terrified. Just shot the boy and I was watching in the car outside and I told my boy to go in and do the business. He said his cousin had fired the gun and then went back to Somalia. Firearms discharge residue was found on Mr. Noor's clothing and his DNA was on the casing of one of the bullets fired from the gun, which had been converted from firing blanks to live ammunition and could fire 1,200 rounds a minute. Both men claimed they were at home or near home at the time of the killing and had alibis. Michael was a regular at the Celestial Church of Christ close to his home. He attended St. Michael's Secondary School in Bermondsey and had celebrated his 15th birthday just a few days before his death. The catalyst for the violence was a robbery, when the gang snatched £18,000 from a security guard making a cash collection from Tesco Express in Peng High Street. Within minutes, the robbers had fallen out amongst themselves over the division of the spoils. The cash had been taken to the home of the gang boss Orlando Madden, now 25, in Peckham, and a younger faction including student Javari Crichton, 21, was convicted. Mr. Madden had denied them a fair share of the money. Mr. Crichton, who was on bail for drugs charges, Mr. Sannoh and Mr. Noor confronted Mr. Madden outside his home, but the boss pulled a knife and fatally stabbed the student through the heart. Mr. Sannoh and Mr. Noor then went out for revenge. Mr. Madden was convicted of murder at the Old Bailey and was sentenced to life in jail. The former drug dealer brother of Michael Desunmu told the court, "It should have been me." Shocked by the murder of his younger brother, Hakeem Desunmu has renounced crime and wept in the dock as he told the court he has to live with the fact that his brother's killers got the wrong man. Once a Sunday school teacher, Hakeem's life descended into drug dealing and gangsterism before he found a redemption after his brother's death. Hakeem went downhill soon after returning from 5 years in the army, serving in Basra with 32 engineers during the invasion of Iraq and later in Bosnia. Although well regarded by officers, he was court-martialed over an assault. Returning to civilian life in London, he struggled to hold down a job, fell in with the security van robbery gang and dealt into cocaine and ecstasy. But after the killing, Hakeem turned his back on his criminal friends, confessed to his crimes and gave evidence against men who had murdered his brother. Hakeem Desunmu, 26, also helped secure the conviction of former friend Orlando Madden for the murder of Javari Crichton, who prompted the gun attack on his home. At the Old Bailey, a judge reduced Hakeem's possible 5-year term for his part in robberies 2 years after hearing how he blamed himself for his brother's death, pleading guilty and helped the police. So what are your thoughts about brothers Michael and Hakeem Desunmu, and how younger brother Michael unfortunately fell victim as his brother Hakeem was not at home at the time of a revenge killing? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay safe.